Dynamic blessings. Welcome to the Synergistic Edge, where high performers win everywhere. I'm your host, Alvey Thompson Jr. And in today's podcast, I want to go over a powerful framework, some powerful concepts that have had a huge impact in my life, in my work, and also in the results that my clients have gotten. What I found is that when people are on their transformation journey, when you're on your path of having great health to coincide with a great career, and there's all of these variables that go into that. We talk about the nutrition and the hydration, the movement, the mindset, the identity, all of it, right? How we're recovering, managing stress. But again, a lot of those are core concepts. But what I want to share today is the framework of understanding how this journey can actually be successful. How you can start from exactly where you are right now and make it all the way to your goal that you have in the future. Whether that goal is to lose 30 to 50 pounds, whether that goal is to have abundant energy even when 4 p.m. hits, if that goal is to if that goal is to extend your peak earning years for another 10 years, whatever that goal is, this framework, this process will help you. And I want to let you know, I have adapted this framework from a mentor of mine named Myron Golden. If you haven't seen Myron Golden, he's amazing. He has been monumental in my path of following Christ and building a relationship with him, and also how I go about my business. And something that he talks about is what's called the 6 phases of transformation. And that's exactly what we're going to go over here. It's the 6 phases of transformation, where in this context, the transformation is directly tied to the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, overall health transformation that you're looking to have in your life. And I get it. You have a ton on your plate. Your schedule is crazy. You have a bunch of demands at work and at home. But what I want to tell you is if you can follow this framework and you understand how this actually looks in everyday life, it's actually going to give you a lot more confidence, clarity, and peace of mind in your process going forward. Because in these 6 phases, it's actually step number 2 or phase number 2 where most people get stuck. And that's when they quit. And that's when they just throw the towel in and they go back to regularly scheduled programming. And I want to let you know that if you can understand phase 2, specifically the second part of phase 2, it is going to shine a light on what stopped you and what's not allowed you to have consistency in your process and in your transformation overall. So let's dive in. So this is the 6 phases of transformation. And phase number 1 is awareness. When I say awareness, at the core, it's you knowing and understanding and being clear that the goal that you have is achievable. The goal that you have is attainable. Maybe you've seen someone else do it. Maybe you've listened to my podcast or you've seen my success stories of my clients and you understand that you can do this. Understand the first step in transforming is having the awareness that you can achieve the goal that you set out to have. Understand, the first part of awareness to me is understanding that you're not where you want to be. Where you currently are is not the final destination. And maybe you've climbed certain mountaintops and now you've realized that there's a higher mountaintop that you want to reach. So for awareness in phase 1, the most important thing for you to understand is you have what it takes to reach that goal. You absolutely have it within you. You have the resources, you have the know-how, you can have the structure, you can have the right people around you to support you. But number 1 is understanding that this change, this transformation is possible. So that's phase 1. When we talk about phase 2, once you have this awareness, phase 2 is having an intention. When I say an intention, that means that you have a clear understanding of what it is you're going to do or where it is that you want to go. So for example, you might currently weigh 210 pounds and you want to lose 30 pounds and get to 180 pounds. Your intention is to get to 180 pounds. Your intention is to lose 40 pounds of fat and put 10 pounds of muscle on. Your intention is to go after it and make it happen. And here's the funny part. If phase 2A is intention, and again, this is where people get really excited about their goals. This might be where you've said, hey, it's a new year, it's a new me. My intention is to go do this thing, which is great. But what always happens, so what I want you to understand is disruption always follows intention. I'm going to say that again. Disruption always follows intention, meaning you have an intention to go out there and lose these 30 pounds, but every time, understand when you have an intention, there's going to be some type of disruption that follows. Let me explain. I have a client that I'm working with right now. She's a woman. She's a high-level marketer at her company. And when we first got together to work, I was explaining this process to her, right? She knew that the change that she wanted to make can happen. She wanted to lose 30 pounds, 25 to 30 pounds by her 50th birthday. And she's already 10 pounds lost on her way, which is amazing. But what I told her is, hey, as you are going after your goals, as you are in this process, there are going to be things that come up in life that are going to try to knock you off of your goals. And understand, high-level marketer at work, at home, she's a mother, she's a wife, 2 young kids. Literally, the week after she signed up to work together for 6 months, 1 week into her process, her whole house got sick. First, the kids got sick, then her husband got sick, and then she got sick. And again, in our first session, we talked about this, and I let her know that this is 100% a part of the process. And where most people go wrong is they think that when some type of disruption comes up, whether it's at home, it's getting sick, it's a family member getting sick, maybe it is something at work, a crazy deadline gets put on you, or maybe a client has a crazy emergency that you have to put everything to the side for and really dive into, and it takes up a bunch of your time. Most people think that that's the reason why they can't go on their journey and that they need to put their health to the side and focus on this thing. But I want you to know that when you have this disruption come up, it's actually showing you that you are going in the right direction. You are going in the right direction. And I've seen this time and time again. If I think about it in my own life early on in my journey, when I was 25 years old, 24 years old, that's when I took my health serious. That's when I really got my food dialed in, my recovery dialed in, wasn't drinking, wasn't smoking, wasn't going out, wasn't eating fast food. I was doing a lot of the right things, losing a bunch of weight. But guess what? While I was on that journey, about a year into it, very soon after that, my mom dies. And again, that was a huge disruption in terms of the transformation that I was looking to have in my life of becoming the version of myself that is super healthy and helping other people do the same. And then the person that I loved the most dies tragically and unexpectedly. And that's what I have up here above me. If you're watching the video version, we got my book right there, You Can Too, Life Lessons from My Mom's Untimely Death. But understand, this was a huge disruption in my life. And I could have easily threw the towel in, said, F this, could have blamed God, could have completely went back to all the terrible habits that I had. I could have coped with a bunch of drinking and smoking and fast food and all of it. But instead of doing that, and I didn't realize this at the time because I didn't have the words for this framework until I heard Myron talk about it. But that was actually a springboard for me to dive deeper into my own personal development and put me on the path of not only working to be healthy physically, doing all the nutrition, the hydration, the training, but it really put me on the path to getting healthy mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And in the moment, it was hard to see it that way. But now that I reflect back to 10, 11 years ago, I can see exactly how that disruption was part of my overall transformation and transcendence. And would I want my mom to be here instead of dying? Absolutely. Yet I understand that there was something bigger at work that was working on me instead of, it might not have worked for me in the moment, but it was working on me, making me a better person. So I want to bring this back to you. Think about where you are in your journey right now. The awareness that you had that the change you wanted to make is possible for you. And then you set out to have an intention of getting that outcome. What was the disruption that follows? What is an example of something that followed? Maybe you got laid off. Maybe someone in your family got sick. There's so many different examples of it happening. And I want you to reflect back when it did happen. did you continue to move forward, or did you let that be the thing that had you start over again and again and again? So I want you to know that if phase 2A is intention, phase 2B is disruption. And disruption always follows intention. And this is so important. If you can understand that, that's going to allow you to transcend whatever's happening to you in life and understand you're actually on the right track and that you get to keep on going, as opposed to falling back, starting over, and just throwing the hands up and saying, you know what, this isn't meant to be because of all of these circumstances that are going on around me. So if there's one thing that you could take away from this podcast that I would really want you to take away, it is that disruption always follows intention. And if you know that, you can already anticipate that something like that may happen, and that's your clue that you're actually on the right path and you're not actually falling away. So that's so important. So phase 3, once you have the awareness, the intention, knowing that disruption follows intention, phase number 3 is decision. A decision means that you are going down this path and you are taking on this journey. And when you decide, the word decide comes from the word decidir, which means to kill off. So when you decide, you're actually killing off all the other options. And that's the difference between a decision and a choice. When you're making a choice, that means that you are choosing among multiple options, but the trap is you can always fall back on some of those other options that you're leaving there. And that's what so many people do. The minute it gets hard, the minute the disruption happens, the minute something is inconvenient, difficult, it's so easy to go back to the other choice that you were doing before. And the other choices that you were doing before is the exact reason why you keep getting stuck. But when you make a decision, you are cutting off everything else. When I go back to my decision of taking on my health to the highest level, even after my mom passed away and doubling down on that, the decision to do that means that I cut off drinking alcohol. I cut off smoking weed. I cut off eating fast food. I cut off going out to the bars and the clubs and all of that. There's a lot of things that I literally cut out of my life in order to be able to move forward in the right direction. Now, for you, when you make your decision around transforming your health and knowing that transforming your health is a catalyst to increasing your overall capacity in life at work and life at home. If the whole idea is you taking on your health so that you never have the brain fog, you don't have the crashes at 3 p.m., you're the one that has a bunch of energy in the meetings at 4 p.m., you're the person who is extending your peak earning potential in those peak earning years for an extra 10, 12, 15 years, while your peers are falling off because they're tired, they lack energy, their body is weak. No, you're the different person. You're built in a different way. You're the one who is strong, focused, motivated. All of this is possible when you make the proper decisions and you cut off everything else that is out of alignment with that. So I want you to pause for a moment and think about this. What are the decisions that you are making in order to move forward in having optimal health, in having optimal well-being, in being able to better manage your stress, and being able to eat better, and being able to get movement in consistently, even though your schedule is packed and crazy with things at work with clients, colleagues, employees, and things at home with your wife, husband, kids, whatever it may be. When you make a decision, you throw out all the other options, and you are singularly focused on making this specific thing happen. But it comes down to making that decision. You're drawing the line in the sand and saying, I am moving forward in this direction. And yes, we understand that disruption follows intention. You're going to understand that things are going to come up, that things are going to be difficult, that things might get messy. But again, those are all things that are coming up in order to sharpen you and make you better, well equipped for the life that you are deciding to live. So again, phase number 3 is decision. Now, phase number 4, this is where it is extremely important. Phase number 4 is discipline, right? I believe discipline is a huge buzzword. People throw it around all the time. But discipline really is a catalyst. It is so important. And the definition I like for discipline is that you do what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it, when you're supposed to do it, despite how you're feeling. That is discipline. You do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, exactly how it's supposed to be done, despite the way that you're feeling. So think about that. What does discipline look like in you achieving your transformation? What does that look like? Is it making sure that you are being disciplined about your phone usage in the evening, and your screen usage in the evening, so that you're able to wind down and get to sleep at a good hour that's going to allow you to get 7+ hours of sleep and then wake up on time? You have the discipline to wake up when you're supposed to wake up, as opposed to hitting the snooze button 3, 4, 5 times because you got to bed too late and you're dragging to get up. What does discipline look like from your schedule? I know you know what it looks like at work in terms of being organized, knowing exactly what needs to get done in what order, making sure that you are prioritizing the proper tasks and activities to move everything forward. That's what's probably gotten you so much success in your work. Now, how do you take that same level of discipline that you've already displayed that you have, and now you put it into your health? What does that same discipline schedule at work look like if you create a disciplined schedule around health? What would that discipline look like in terms of saying no to the foods that might be brought into the office for someone's birthday, for a holiday, for a celebration? Say no to the cookies and say yes to the high quality protein, to the fruits and the vegetables, to the fiber, to drinking enough water. How do you say no and have the discipline to say no to the third, fourth, fifth drink at happy hour, and instead be disciplined and focus on your one drink that you're going to have? Or maybe it's 2 drinks, whatever that specific boundary is that you've created in order to reach your goal. Discipline is huge. And I say this to all of my clients, and so much of my work as a coach is helping you go through this process, have the awareness and understand this is possible for you. And I want to let you know that you too have discipline, and you've shown it in many aspects of your life. You get to work on time, you get the tasks that are done, you sign the major deals, you are creating and increasing the stock price and doing all of these things for your company. That stuff takes discipline. And understand, when you go through this process and you're able to hold yourself accountable, or if you have a coach like me who is also holding you accountable, the discipline is knowing that you already have it within you. You don't need to go out and get something crazy, get something done. It's like, no, like this is already in you. You've decided that this is the goal and this is what you're going after. And now you're locked in on the discipline of making it happen. And when I talk about discipline, it's not about being perfect. You're a human being. You're going to slip up, or there might be some crazy extenuating circumstance that comes up. But again, once you take care of that, you course correct right away. You have the adaptability and the flexibility and the mobility, the agility to get right back on the horse and make it happen. And that's what is so important. That's what I explained to my clients. One of my clients before, one of the worst things that he would do is that he had this all or nothing mentality where if he didn't do one thing, quote unquote, perfectly, then that means the whole thing is a failure. And he just throws his hands up and says, you know what, I need to start over, or I need to quit this, or now's not the right time. But once I helped explain to him that the enemy is perfection because it doesn't exist. It's actually one of the lowest standards that you can have for yourself because you can never actually attain it. But instead, we focus on excellence. And if you're doing the right thing, say with a floor of 80% of the time, you're going to hit your goal. But here's the thing. A lot of people say everything in moderation or 80-20 rule. But when they say moderation, they're not living moderation. It's actually the wrong thing. It's the majority of what they're doing. Or when they say they're 80-20, they're not at 80-20. They're more at like 50-50 or even 40-60, if not worse. So we have to keep it real with ourselves and understand that, yes, you're not going to be perfect. Yes, you get to get rid of this all or nothing mentality. You get to stop having the identity of a perfectionist, because that's just a big excuse for why you procrastinate, if we're being honest about it. And instead, you adapt this mentality that, hey, I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to do my best in every single situation, and understand that your best will look different day to day, week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, even year to year. But understand, if you're constantly doing the right things in a disciplined way, you are going to reach your goal over time. Okay. So that's phase 4, discipline. Got 2 phases left. Phase number 5, and this is a huge one. And this is one that's been dear to my heart, because I didn't do this for years. And phase number 5 is recognition. It is so important in your process of transformation, in your process of reaching your goal, to recognize just how far you've came. Yes, you might not be at your goal yet, but you have to look behind you and see just how far you've come. Again, something that I say to myself is, hey, I might not be where I want to be, but I'm so much further than where I was. And that in itself is a huge game changer. And for me, just to let you behind the hood a little bit of my life and why recognition was so hard, and I talk about this in my book. When I was young growing up, again, my mom and I's dynamic has been a huge, huge pillar in all of my growth and why I do the work that I do today. So my mom was very sick my entire life. And when I was very young, gosh, even elementary school age, my mom would be in the living room, and then my room would just be a couple of steps away. And because my mom was sick, she didn't have a social life. She never really left the house. So the way that she was social is that she would have a bunch of phone calls with different friends each and every day, or different family members each and every day. And typically, if she was having, say, 6 conversations a day, she was literally having the same conversation 6 times within that day. And so much of her conversations revolved around me. And it was interesting. If you don't know, my first name's Alvey, but I went by my middle name, Daniel, or Danny, when I was young. And what she would always say is, she would just be bragging about me. Oh, Danny's doing so good at school. Oh, Danny's doing so great with sports. Oh, Danny's, growing up, and he's so handsome, and I think all the girls are going to like him, and da-da-da. And she would just say all of these things about me. And I remember viscerally around maybe 5th grade or so, hearing her having another one of these conversations and just feeling so embarrassed by it that I literally started to not let any of the praise she had come into me. Or if I heard it, it would be one in one ear, out the other. And it's so crazy. I didn't realize this until I was about, 31 years old, around there, where because I would shut out that praise that my mom gave me, I actually shut out all praise that would come my way. Whether it was from teachers, coaches, family members, friends, and then you fast forward even to my working life, my adult life, praise around how I was helping people with their life. All of this weight that I was helping people lose, but beyond that, how I was transforming the way people were looking at their own life and their relationships with themselves, which impacted relationships with their kids and their spouses and their coworkers and all of it. I never really recognized the great work that I was doing. Someone would literally cry to me and say the impact that they had, or that I had, on their life. And I would sit there and I would listen to it, and I would be there in that moment. But once that moment was done, it was kind of one ear in, one ear out the other, where I didn't really let it sit in my heart. I didn't really let it sit in my soul and my spirit and really let it marinate there. And what did that turn into? Well, what ends up happening was, whenever it was time for me to take that next step in my career, I wanted to take a leap, whether that was to work with bigger clients, whether it was to charge a higher price, whether it was to go after bigger things in my life, different things. I would have this level of imposter syndrome, because I would never take the time to look back at all the things that I accomplished. And I would just think that I'm starting from ground zero always. And there was really no deep confidence within myself to go after this next thing. And it wasn't until I realized this through a experiential learning personal development course that I was a part of, that I was able to overcome it, right? Like I had an awareness around that thing. And it's completely transformed my work in being able to understand the impact that I've had on hundreds of people's lives. To know that I've worked with some of the best athletes in the world of all time, working with Manny Ramirez, working with Michael Vick, working with all these different people. And then also just understanding the thousands of pounds I've helped people lose, the hundreds of pounds of muscle that I've put on, the kids that I helped go from their middle school team to the high school team, from high school to college to the pros, from being a pro on the bench that didn't think he was ever going to play and get cut, to being a 11-year veteran, right? That being Neville Hewitt. So it's like it took me understanding how big recognition is in the process. And I want you to think about this for you. Are you taking time to recognize just how far you've come on your journey? Again, to go back to my example before, if your goal is to lose 30 pounds, did you recognize that you've already lost the first 15, the first 10, the first 5? If your goal was to get to the gym 4 times a week, and you've been doing that for the last 2 months, are you taking the time to recognize that you're doing the things that you set out to do? Whether it's in work and climbing the ladder and seeing all the impact that you've had, all the people that you've touched, all the people you've impacted in a major way, do you take the time to recognize that and see that you are on the right path? Because we have to celebrate the wins. We absolutely have to. And that's why in my coaching process, the first thing I do in every single session is ask my client, hey, what were your big wins for the week? Because there's always wins. And if we're not looking at the wins that are happening in real time, it's really easy to hyper focus on not being exactly where you want to be yet. But it's a process to get there, right? And in this framework that I'm talking about here, there's 6 phases to get to that ultimate goal of transformation. Okay, so remember, phase 5 is recognition. You have to look back and see how far you've come in the journey of getting to where it is that you want to be. And finally, the last phase of transformation, and this is very much tied into number 5, and this is celebration. Are you celebrating when you reach the goal, when you reach the outcome? Here's the thing about human nature when it comes to high performers. Oftentimes, we can be very great at having a goal, going after it, and achieving it because we are a high-level performer. We are high achievers. We get to the goal. But do you celebrate the goal when you get there? Or do you get there and you're immediately, boom, on to the next goal? Because here's the thing. We need to be celebrating along the way. Because if we're not celebrating, what's the whole point of doing this whole thing? If you're not celebrating, if you're not raising that Lombardi trophy for your personal goal, then what's the point of going after any of this? And whether that level of celebration is just with you or it includes other people, it's important that you understand that in your process of transformation, when you get there, you got to celebrate it. And there's multiple ways to do it. And something that I share with a lot of my clients, because the people that I work with are typically individuals like you who are high performers. You achieve a lot at work. You usually have a family. You got a wife or a husband at home. Typically, you have kids. You have a lot going on. And sometimes it feels selfish to work on yourself. It's this idea of like, nah, I don't want to invest all of this time and money into me because that's selfish, because I need to be pouring that into my kids, into my wife, whoever it may be. And I understand where that thought comes from, right? Like you look at yourself as a provider. You want to pour into other people. You are generous. You care about other people, especially your family. All of that makes sense. But I want you to understand, you have to fill up your cup first. For me, I pour into myself, and I've been doing this for over a decade in terms of how I work on myself so that I can be the father that I'm being now to Zion, my son, who's 16 months. And even after he was born, I still made sure I had to shuffle some things around. I had to tighten up my schedule and be very clear with those things. However, I still pour into myself each and every day so I can be a great father to him, so that I can be a great husband to Alejandra, my wife, and also that I can be a great worthy servant of God above. I have to pour into myself. So if you are ever feeling guilt towards going after this transformation of health, understand that the people in your life get to celebrate this with you. So, for example, say you want to lose the 30 pounds like we talked about. How are you and your spouse going to celebrate all the milestones along the way? Like, have a conversation with your spouse. Say, hey, honey, when I lose the first 10 pounds, I want to go out to a nice steak dinner at our favorite steakhouse. Hey, honey, when I lose the 20 pounds, I want to go out and I want to get a new wardrobe. And I want you to come with me and I want you to get something nice too. Or it might be, hey, honey, when I lose the 30 pounds, I want you to celebrate with me. Let's take this trip to this tropical vacation where we can be on the beach, you know, shirts off for the guys, you know, two-piece bathing suit for the woman, feel super confident about who you are, enjoy all of the fruits of your labor and all of the hard work. And again, how are you going to celebrate this transformation that you're going through? Bring your family along the ride, have a way to celebrate with them so that they're more bought in to this journey that you're going on, and that they understand as you get better, as you have more energy, more confidence, more love for yourself, that it's going to pour into your family members. It's going to pour into all the people that you work with. It's going to pour into all the people that are around you. And again, it's so important that we understand that transformation is not just a snap of the fingers, right? It takes time, it takes a process, and there's going to be these 6 phases that allows you to transform. But if you allow yourself to, number one, understand what the 6 phases are, and then now go phase by phase and how you attack your goal, you are going to have a ton of success in getting healthier, being more confident in the way that you look, setting yourself up so that you have more energy today, that you have more energy and focus tomorrow, and the next year, and the next 10 years, extending your peak performance. And also, too, when it is time to retire, you have the energy and vitality and lovely relationship with your kids, with your spouse, to where you can all enjoy your retirement together. But it starts with these 6 phases. And remember, phase 1, it's awareness. It's understanding that the goal that you have is possible for you. Step 2 is intention, saying, hey, you know what? I am going to go after that goal. Phase 2B, that is disruption. It's understanding that as you're on your way, there are going to be things that come up that are going to work to stop it. It might be sickness. It might get busier at work. You might get laid off at work. There's no shortage of things that can happen, but you have to remember that the disruption shows you that you are on the right path and that you are getting closer and that you cannot quit right there. You must keep going in order to get to where it is that you want to go. And then phase 3 is the decision. It's not a choice, it's a decision. You are focused on making this thing happen, and you are killing off all other options. Phase 4 is discipline. You do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, how it's supposed to be done, no matter how you're feeling that specific day. And then phase 5 is recognition. Understand and recognize how far you've come in the process. Make sure you're looking back and you're saying, dang, I've done so many of the things that I've set out to do, and I may not be at my goal yet, but I am well on my way and I am better today than I was yesterday. And finally, phase 6, celebration. How are you going to celebrate when you reach this goal? How are you going to celebrate now that you know your life is different from here on out and it's better? Include your family in that, include your loved ones in that. Let them be a part of that process so that they can be bought into what you're doing and they don't think that you're doing a selfish thing, but they know that you're doing this for the betterment of everyone around you. If you understand and you follow through on these 6 phases, I guarantee you that you are going to achieve your goals and be much more likely to achieve your goals going forward. And if you want help in achieving your goals and following this 6-phase process of transformation, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to help you in this. That's what my work is all about. Like, sometimes when you want to get to a certain goal or you think it might be possible, but you're not quite sure, that's where powerful coaching from me comes in. I'll put the belief in you because I've seen people just like you in even tougher circumstances reach the same exact goal that you have. So I want to let you know that it's possible. And it starts with the understanding that it's possible, and then you work from there. So if you want help in this process, feel free to reach out to me, DM me Instagram at Alvey Thompson, DM me the word coaching, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. If you have any colleagues, friends, family who you know would benefit from this episode, that they're going through a transformation and they could benefit from these 6 phases, please share this with them. And at the end of the day, I believe in everything that you're doing. Just keep fighting the fight, keep racing the race. It's not supposed to be easy. It's going to be hard, yet not reaching your goal is hard as well. So you get to choose the hard that you want. I appreciate you. I honor you. Stay dynamic, my friends. You can too.